Welcome to Business Connection. I'm Liz Spencer. We have a wonderful guest in studio. It's Jeff Lucas, and he is from Dunham Counseling. Hi, Jeff.
Hi Liz.
Jeff, this is a wonderful time of year, so we're told at the holidays where, we all are looking forward to happy ever after. Why do we get so stressed and feel awful at this time of year when we're supposed to feel so happy?
Yeah, holidays bring out stress because of all that we feel we have to do or have, and we want the perfect holiday, and but we're not perfect. Humans are not perfect, and so issues come up like overspending, overscheduling, financial stress, family relational issues, unmet expectations, loss of a loved one, and we realize that we're not having the perfect holiday. We may experience suffering like anxiety, depression, sleeplessness. We may try to self-medicate that with alcohol, drugs, overeating, and of course, and then there's a letdown of the when it's all over too, that you can experience a little depressed after with that going on.
So there's a lot in this time of year that we have to sort through and cope with. Sometimes we find ourselves in need of talking to someone like you, but there are lots of choices. Some folks want to use medication, but you are not necessarily an opponent of medication. You're more of an opponent of some alternative therapies. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, we use traditional relational, connected, supportive, cognitive behavioral talk therapy. But I found that there are other therapies that are just effective or more effective than that, that really harness the power of the mind and the capability of the brain to kind of rebalance itself. And these have made a big difference in my clients' lives.
Jeff, you mentioned that with talk therapy and everything that you're doing there, I often think sometimes we go in to talk with someone. I think everybody should, because it's not, when I go to see someone like you, it's about me. I don't have to worry about you. I can just worry about me. But oftentimes we want the therapist to kind of tell us what to do, and we don't often think that we hold the key to help ourselves. Talk to me a little bit about how we have our own tools to help ourselves, especially our minds.
Right. So the mind, so I think of the mind as like an iceberg, and with the tip of the iceberg of the water being like the conscious mind, and the part below the surface of the water, a much bigger part, like the subconscious mind, and it's the collection of every thought, every emotion, every experience we've ever had, and it starts filling up from day one of our lives. So it has an enormous potential there that if you can tap it, and so the subconscious mind talks in the language of visual images, like when we dream at night. So when when we visualize certain symbols in our mind's eye, it can go deep into our subconscious mind. And
so you help us kind of get to that sublayer of iceberg that we can't necessarily see ourselves.
Yeah, I use a popular visualization technique called cutting the ties of bind, that uses ancient universal symbols that have been around for thousands of years, like the triangle or the circle, the sun, a tree. And when these are visualized in the mind's eye, these go deep into the subconscious mind, where our psychological issues are rooted. And so, like, I'll give you an example. One of the techniques I use is called the figure eight.
Okay.
And so I shared this technique with one of my clients who is a recovering alcoholic, and it's good for using with issues and that you're trying to overcome. And so his issue, of course, was alcohol, and he was getting triggered as he was a truck driver, and he was driving through neighborhoods in Chicago where he used to frequent the bars, and he would just use this technique. It's like self-hypnosis to overcome the temptations and the cravings to go do that.
By picturing the figure eight and working the figure eight?
Yeah, with him in one circle and the issue in the other.
Well, that's interesting. People often have reoccurring things like anxiety. How do you work with them to to get through that because it keeps coming back? I mean, I think sometimes we think that we can just cure it and it won't come back, or we won't ever experience that again. How do you give us coping mechanisms to help us go through life?
So you're talking about like trauma, like traumatic memories that maybe are connected with anxiety. That's what it sounds like. And with traumatic memories they tend to remain the same versus non-traumatic memories, which are changeable. And these can get triggered and causing a natural protective fight or flight or freeze response. And these can become inappropriate over time. And that's why you're talking about the anxiety coming up over and over again. These are like manifestations of that. But you can change these memories and the response rather quickly, and the results are long-lasting. So what we're talking about, the brain can be stuck, which is what I was trying to make that point in the last dialogue we were having. So I found some really good techniques to help the brain get unstuck. And we use a popular technique, long-standing technique called EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And it uses it rebalances the impulses of both sides of the brain with bilateral activity like eye movement or tapping or auditory beeps going back and forth in the ears. And when you do this, you add this bilateral brain stimulation, it changes along with discussion, it reprocesses the trauma. And when that happens, the response is modified and to formerly troubling concerns or stresses. Yeah.
That's fascinating because there's lots of studying being done with the brain that I think is just going to revolutionize how you work with patients, how we view the problems that we have right now.
Yeah, so I'd like to tell you, inspired, I've been doing EMDR for more than 15 years now. And so inspired by my experience in working with the brain and the mind with that, I've gone into this new technology that it's a non-invasive a computer-aided brain rebalancing method, really called Cereset. And Cereset uses mirroring the bilateral of the both sides of the brain, and then it resets a healthy pattern in the brain by doing that. So when people do go through this, they experience increased energy. The relaxation is profound. This happens very quickly. They sleep better. Their mood improves. Better ability to cope with and respond to stress, and better ability to focus and problem solve and things like that.
It all works together.
Right.
It's such a ripple effect with one person not feeling well. But I also think it's fascinating and wonderful how you talk to people and still use talk therapy, because it all rolls together. We don't know what tools we're going to need.
It's an integrative program, exactly. Right. A client comes in, they may need one thing, they may need another thing, and I have this whole kind of continuum, and the brain's very important component of all of this, definitely.
That's what sets you apart, Jeff. Thank you for what you do. You're playing a valuable role in our community, you really are. And so we appreciate it. I appreciate learning more about it, and wish you continued success. And we're going to be right back with more Business Connections. Stay tuned.